Hi everyone, welcome to For Teachers. Today is really exciting because we've got a parcel from our friends at Sage Publishing.
Ah, I'm so excited.
And as you can probably see, and you might have guessed by the title of this video, for today's video we will be focusing on one book in particular, and that is the QTS Study Guide.
Yes, we've got the Numeracy Study Guide here. I'm going to talk you through lots of hints and tips and lots of advice that comes from the book and from us as well.
Yeah, thank you so much to Sage Publishing for sending us these. We really appreciate it. And especially this one in particular, which we know that everyone who has clicked on this video clearly needs some kind of indication as to how to pass this test.
Yeah, I remember I bought this book, the different version, for about 5-6 years ago, I think, and it really helped. So going through this book should be able to help you feel a bit more comfortable, a bit more focused, a bit more ready to take the test.
If you would like to get your hands on a copy of this book, we've put a link in down below taking you to Sage Publishing where you can order yourself a copy, or if you carry on watching this video until the end, we will be giving you some details of a giveaway where we will be sending this exact book to someone who might be needing it. Just a side note, we have actually already done a video all about the QTS tests. Please go and check that out because we give a general overview all about the QTS tests and what they are, and we have a little bit of a laugh trying out a question. In this video we're going to go a little bit more specific. We're going to go a little bit deeper into the maths QTS test in particular. I know that everyone has a preference, but I think we get more questions sent to us about the maths.
I think more people worry about the maths, more people think it's perhaps not their strongest subject, and it's something that you perhaps just need a little bit more help with.
Talk me through the process. Like, you've gone in for your QTS test, where do you go, where do you sit, what's it like?
When you book in for these tests, you might not know kind of where you're booking in until you get there, and what happens is it's often the place where you can do your driving permit as well. So you go in there and there's a lot of people nervous because they're going to take the theory test for their driving instruction, and then there's also a lot of teachers who are there to try and pass their QTS test. There are two parts to the maths test. The first part is a mental maths test where it's mental arithmetic and things that you're going to be thinking about. However, it's not just completely off the top of your head. You get given a whiteboard and pen, or at least a pencil and paper.
I think I had pencil and paper.
I had a whiteboard and pad.
Okay, so be prepared for either.
Yeah, and I don't know which one's better really. So I think like having a whiteboard meant that you could rub out your answers and have a bit more space. And part two of the test is the on-screen part of the test, where there'll be a screen in front of you with some visuals. Just the question might be written out, but there might be a diagram, there might be a chart for you to analyse and observe some findings and tell them your answers. Be prepared that there are two distinct parts to the test. So
for the first part, which is your mental arithmetic, it's an audio test heard through headphones. There are 12 questions in this section. It must be done first, you can't choose the order that you do them, and also you cannot go back and change your answers. So please be aware, once you've put an answer and you've clicked onto the next thing, that is your answer.
Yeah, I remember as well, when you're doing it on the system, you have to type in your answer and then you have to click enter to say
that takes a long time.
Yeah, I remember for the first question, I kind of typed in the answer and thought I was done, waiting for the timer, and then time had passed and I've not pressed enter. So please make sure you press enter to go to the next question when you're ready.
Calculations including fractions, percentages, measurement, conversions and time, which is oddly specific for a test because that's not everything on the maths curriculum, but
yeah, I think they try and give you things that would appeal to a teacher. So it's kind of like how to plan a trip and how to organise your classroom within the set hours. Where actually, I don't think we often use maths when we're doing those things necessarily.
To be honest, I don't think we often use the skills that we learned for the QTS test in teaching anyway, but it is a really good test of whether or not you can equip yourself with new knowledge, which as a teacher you have to do all the time anyway.
Yeah.
We've come up with some ideas. So number one, I heard this suggested online the other day and I think it's such a great idea, is set up your 7 and 8 times table when you walk in. Instead of doing the practice question, let it run, but then use that time to quickly make a note of your 7 times table and your 8 times table down the side of your whiteboard. I also remember somebody telling me one of the most important things you can do in the QTS tests is learn what an eighth of a number is, or learn what an eighth is as a fraction, as a percentage, as a decimal. Just that seems to come up a lot in the tests, and it did come up on the real test for me, and I was so happy that I'd learned it. Another thing that I was told to really learn is 20% of a number. I mean, you can generally work out 1%, 10%, but just learn that 20% is equivalent to a fifth, learn that it's equivalent to 0.2.
I think it's because they want to do fractions and percentages, but they don't make it so easy that it's halves and quarters. It's got to be 6 and 8s. What I love about the book is it goes through each question type. So there's bar charts and there's line charts and there's the box and whisker diagrams, which everyone finds really tricky, and we just had a look and we can't remember how to use. So it goes through stage by stage. Practice questions, then how to solve it, and then different variations on those. So what we said ourselves as well, the ones that you practice, perhaps in the book or perhaps online, they can be a little bit harder than the ones that you do.
So.
And I think it really pays to practice those ones, and then when you get into the test, hopefully you'll find it easier, whether it's the practice that you put in or whether it's actually their questions that they give you a little bit easier.
If your university has got a library or a study space that you can rent out, I used to rent the study rooms. I would go in with friends, we got whiteboard pens, we'd write all our conversions down, and then we'd have a game where we would have to answer, oh, what's 1/8 of 120, and we just really quickly have to convert and write the answers. Is that boring you, right?
Just cut me out right now. If you've got dyslexia or dyscalculia, then it is worth knowing that you can ask for a little bit extra time, and they do provide that. Another thing that's really important to remember is there is an on-screen calculator in the second section. So when you do the screen-based questions.
It's slow though.
Yeah, so I think perhaps don't use it for every question. Maybe use it to check a few answers, but I think all those questions you should be able to work out yourself.
Yeah, I don't think I used it much.
So you can't use your own calculator, you can't take your phone in, so you have to just use what they give you.
I can remember that throwing me because
yeah, you can kind of drag it and move it around the screen, right?
I remember the calculator I'd been practicing with was like handheld and it was really, really fast, and when I got there I had to click into the calculator. That felt really slow for me. I think most computers will have a drag click screen calculator. Maybe practice with that as well, because that can take a real chunk out of the time as well, I think.
Yeah, I think as well you have to use the mouse to kind of click on the numbers. If you want to use the number pad, you've got to make sure that your number lock is switched on. So that's a really good tip. Otherwise you're kind of thinking, oh, I can't use that, I can't use it. But it might be just a simple fact that you press the button on the keyboard and it should work. So try not to use the calculator, but just remember you've got the clear function as well. Make sure you've cancelled any operations that you're doing and you've cleared them off with the C button so that no other data are already stored in the calculator.
At the very back of the book there is a glossary section which we've just been having a look at now, and it's so helpful. It's got all those words that come up in the practice test and you actually don't know what they mean. Just
forgotten what they mean, or it just goes out of your head. So it's got a nice definition here for you, so you can look through all the different chart types. You can look at mode, cumulative frequency, correlation, all those things that you think you've got a good grip on, you want to just have an extra check to make sure.
And what you could do is, if you've got someone that you can test yourselves on these words, you could say like, oh Ryan, tell me what correlation means.
It's when two pieces of data have a relationship.
Oh, lovely.
I don't know how long it's going to
Are they happy?
And the third section is solving those written arithmetic. So they're the on-screen questions that you get a little bit more time for, so you can jot down your answers. Then as we go through, there are practice questions, and then there are also some answers and key points. I think that's a really good section. When you get to section 6, it doesn't just tell you the answer, it kind of helps you out with a key point of why. I get really nervous straight away.
Okay. In a year group of 144 pupils, 54 pupils travel to school on school buses. What proportion of the year group does not travel on school buses? Give your answer as a decimal.
0.6.
Correct.
Yay!
I don't know if it's correct. You did that so fast.
Yeah. I didn't realise, so the answer in the book says 0.625, so I rounded it to the nearest decimal.
See, that's really good. This is a great way you can use the book. For example, I've just fired this question at Ryan. He's really surprised me by answering it quickly. People are going to think you've gone off air and like worked it out. He did just do that straight away. But the really good thing about the book is that you've got the questions and then the answers are in the back of the book. And also it shows you how to work it out, which is really, really helpful. And if that's throwing you like it would have thrown me before I did my test, just be aware that you will start to learn it. I remember feeling this feeling of doom, like there's no way I will ever be a teacher. And I remember being so worried about it, but I promise, even someone who wasn't as confident with maths, you will start to learn this system.
One of the comments we got on our previous video about QTS was that they've been told by their school, where they've already secured a job, an interview, they've been told that they need to pass their QTS test earlier than the deadline that the university had told them they could take their test. So that threw them into a little bit of a panic, I think, and made them worry. But I think just be aware that schools, obviously, they want to hire someone who's already got their QTS.
Yeah, because it can be tricky.
Just because it can be tricky, they don't want to take someone on board who's still saying, oh, I'll do it in a few months' time, or in 6 months' time, I've made an appointment. You do need it to be a qualified teacher or to take your AQT year. So it's worth getting in there early. I know a lot of people, they like to stagger them and say, I'll do the English now and then I'll have a bit longer to practice the maths, and that's fine.
That's my learning style.
Make sure you booked ahead of schedule. Try and get it done early. I got it done right at the start of my first placement. So I remember I went to observe my placement, then went for my QTS test, and luckily there was no one in the building, so I could get straight in and do my test, and then I found out I passed before I even done my first place.
My situation was so different to you. I went in and it was really, really busy. There was hundreds of people in the room.
Did you do it in the city centre, Manchester?
No, I did Sheffield city centre.
Oh, okay.
I remember going in and it was really busy. I was queued up, I had to wait over an hour. I just sat there for an hour feeling really nervous, looking at my notes, like trying to get the box and whisker diagram in my head one last time. I remember walking out thinking I probably hadn't passed, but I think I might have just passed it. But I burst into tears, came out to meet my friend who was waiting, and he thought I'd failed. I hadn't, I'd passed, and I was crying tears of joy.
Yay!
If you would like to be in with a chance of winning this book, all you have to do is make sure that you are subscribed to 4 Teachers.
Let us know when you're going to take your test, or let us know how your test goes. We'll then be choosing one winner from the first 100 comments that we receive, so do get commenting.
Thank you so much for watching this video, and good luck with your QTS test. Bye!
Bye!